What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to Funky Stangs. In the new year, I told you I'd give you a little story on Black Sunshine and the radio when I bought the car. So here goes. I bought the car in 2005, and I like radios in my cars. You know, exhaust. I don't need it. I'm not listening to my exhaust. Yeah, well, you can turn your damn radio off. So if you want to listen to your exhaust, but I need music. But when I got the car, I had a Sony X-Pod in it. I'm not a big Sony car audio guy. I think they kind of suck actually, but I said, whatever. I'll let it run in there till it blows up. The very next day, I'm driving along, listening to my music, and all of a sudden, no sound. I'm like, that's weird. You know, front fade, rear fade, left balance, right balance, nothing. I'm like, okay, this is bizarre. So I get back home, start learning at that point how to tear a Foxbody dash apart, and I'm thinking at the whole time, what could have done this? I mean, maybe the wiring harness came apart, got unconnected. And I thought, well, if they taped the wires up in there, maybe they all came apart. But all at once? I was like, that's just strange. I said the only other thing was if the channels blew out of it. What's the odds of that happening all at once, So I get there, learn how to pull out the console on a Foxbody, and pull the radio out and notice the black tape and the aftermarket speaker wiring hooking up everything. And I'm like, did they run on the wire in this car? And I'm like, that's odd. Why would you do that? Unless you got like amps in the car or something you need to run off, like Black Sunshine is now. You're running the speakers right to an amp. So I started peeling a wire, and I'm like, okay, everything's hooked up, so it should work. I got power. Volume's up. The whole time I'm checking this while I was driving down the road at the time and now. And I'm like, this is bizarre. The only reason these things aren't working right now is because the channels on the radio must have blew out. So as I'm investigating more, I look way up in the dash, really looking up in there, and noticed another set of black tape. All the wires were cut short at some point, and they added speaker wire, about 3 inches of it, just to give it length. And they just twisted the wires and black taped it. And I'm like, okay, splices aren't good. Splices can blow channels out. They can, if you splice them like that. I'm like, but one splice to blow up both channels? I don't know. I don't, all at once? That's just weird. So I was like, all right, let me, I gotta take a look here. So I pulled the dash speaker on the driver's side out, and there was another 3 inches of spliced wire onto the stock wire of the car, wrapped around the post on the aftermarket speaker. And I'm like, so I'm looking at the speaker, and I pull up the stock wire to where the speaker connects. There's plenty of room. Why did they take a 3-inch spliced wire and do that? They didn't need to. They had enough wire. So then I'm like, wait a minute, dude. I went over to the passenger side, pulled the speaker out. Same thing. Spliced wire. So now there's 2 splices from the radio to the speaker. It's not ideal. It's not good either. So then I went to the rear. Both sides, same thing. They spliced 3 inches of wire on each side. They didn't need to do it. There was enough wire from a stock car to put it. I'm like, what is going on? So now I'm looking in the door speakers. And if you don't know, I think in a Foxbody, since there's only 4 sets of wires up front and you got 6 speakers, I believe somehow, somewhere, and I'm not sure, if anybody knows, they can tell me in the comments, the door speakers are bridged somewhere. They're bridged onto the channels. But I open the door speakers. Same thing. Spliced wire. And I'm like, well, I guess that'll do it. One splice on a wire inline to a speaker isn't gonna hurt anything. It's not ideal, but it's not gonna hurt anything. But 2, But if it's on all the speakers, yeah, it's probably gonna do that. It's gonna blow the channels on the radio. So mystery solved there. I've never seen anything like that. Why would you do that if you didn't need to lengthen the wire? There's no reason to lengthen the wire. You had enough wire. So what I ended up doing was I ended up splicing the wire the proper way, the best I could, because it was way up in the dash. Dude, they cut it way short. So I put connectors to splice the wire and heat shrinked them. And I went like that for years and years without any problems in the car, until I came to the point where we did the strut tower repair in that car, and it was pretty horrific, guys. It was, the strut towers they didn't look good, driver's side especially. But I ended up tearing everything out of it, doing something, I don't remember what it was. I wasn't putting sound deadening at that point, but I had everything out of it, and I said, you know what, I can reach up in here and with the ability to solder, because I had enough space. So I went and found the same wiring harnesses I did in that last video I showed you, and I soldered those on in Black Sunshine back to original. So now it's got wiring harnesses on it and everything like that, except for the speakers. Those are gone. Those just got spades on them, right on the wires. But yeah. So has your car ever had that kind of crap done to it? I mean, that was so bizarre. That was like that was probably the weirdest thing we ever found in that car. It was just absolutely the weirdest thing. Nothing else. The car, other than that, there was, a couple of weird little things, but nothing as bizarre as that. I had no idea why they did that. I get what they did in the dash, but the speakers, what are you doing? You will blow speakers doing that if they're not connected properly. So especially when they're all like that and you have basically 2 bridged speakers on the same system, that can pretty much do it. So 6 speakers, oh man, with 2 splices on each line. Well, if you think about it, wherever these speakers in the doors were spliced onto, there was 3 splices on those compared to the 2 splices that were on the other stuff. So don't splice wire when it comes to car audio or any kind of audio. So wiring harnesses, you friggin' buttholes. Later, guys.